There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Hello to our beloved and most nattily dressed listeners, and welcome to our very special episode. Yes, this show is celebrating MaxMikeMovies' 5th anniversary. Can you believe how many years we've been doing this? Hang on. 5, right. Wow, 5 years. 5 years, that is so many years. Hard to believe that 5 years ago, almost to the day, Mike said to me, "You did a real job, Max. Now I'm going to restraints, and you're not going to do anything stupid, right?" Memories.
Never said any such thing.
Totally did. We had any number of possibilities to consider for this show. We could discuss movies with the number 5 in the title. We could discuss the 5th entry in some major movie franchise. We could do a careful analysis of all 23 episodes of the 1971 Jackson 5 cartoon series done by Rankin Bass. The last one was my top choice, but Mike vetoed it because I vetoed a concurrent analysis of the Osmonds cartoon show.
I have never and will never ever watch an episode of that show.
Oh, keep telling yourself that. So instead, we're doing a variant of a suggestion made by one of our listeners, one Dan Schaeffer.
Who?
I don't know. His name showed up somewhere. And we're discussing the 5th highest grossing film that came out the year we started, 1918.
20.
Wait, that's not right. That's not right. I knew that wasn't right. What's
Smack your head again, Max.
Ow,
Get the BB in the little hole.
Hang on. Wait, there it is. Okay, got it. And I would like to point out the 5th anniversary is the wood anniversary, which is why after the show I will be striking Mike in the head with a log.
And not just simply asking, why would you do this?
And the movie we have chosen, although we didn't choose it, it chose us. Deadpool 2. I'm your host, Max, if I could turn back time, Levine, and over yonder is your host, Mike Forbushman Loose. Break the fourth wall for us, Mike.
Where's my paper bag? Or is it a tin pot? I can't remember.
I think it's a tin pot.
I think it's a tin pot. Where's my tin pot? There. Is that broken enough?
That's very broken.
Wait, do we have a fourth wall? Do we have a first wall?
I don't think we have any walls, floor, or ceiling. We're just floating here in the void in your ear.
Ooh.
But before we do that...
Poll question. Last episode, we're changing it up a little here. See what we did there? It's not a different episode, it's the same one. Last episode, we were dying to know who your favorite comedy team was. And to say we were surprised at the answers would be an understatement. You folks are always great, but I think the variety of these answers was above and beyond, so thank you ahead of time.
Yeah, seriously.
Starting over to the website. Ooh, I feel a draft coming from way, way up north where hell freezes over first.
I smell herring.
Your heart of herring. It's Vince from the wilds of Canada with this response. Quote, Burns and Allen always crack me up, and I love the team of French and Saunders. I really loved the Marx Brothers, but rewatched some of their films recently, and while still well-paced and funny, they're much more problematic than I remembered. It's summer, so off to put ice on the zombie penguins, end quote. Thanks, Penguin Master.
Gotta keep them cool.
We also had Ned, Burgermeister of Cheese, at the website. Quote, the old SNL crew could work magic. Too many movies to name, end quote. That's very kind of you, Ned.
Thanks. Very.
Back on Facebook, Jamie Kleinert is next with, quote, Mandy Patinkin and Andre the Giant are the obvious answer, end quote. I don't know if it's serious, but it's a great
Interesting.
call. They had that one film, you know. Thanks, Jamie. Nick Hoffman posted twice, starting with, quote, the first one that comes to mind is Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, end quote. And then, quote, let us not forget who was on first, Abbott and Costello, end quote. If they were on first, why put Wilder and Pryor there? Well, thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Harry McCracken's answer was simple. Laurel and Hardy. Thanks, Harry.
Yep, to the point.
Dan Schaeffer, who more or less came up with this week's episode thingy.
But he's not getting any money for it.
He'll get as much as we do. In Bumpy Bucks.
Yes.
Don't forget those. Dan Schaeffer offered up, quote, William Powell and Myrna Loy in the Thin Man movies. Incredible chemistry and banter. And drinking, end quote. Lots and lots of drinking.
So much drinking.
And don't forget Asta. Thanks, Dan. Adam Mark, as always, had a well-reasoned response. Quote, I think Bob Hope's and Bing Crosby's Road series, 1940 to 1962,
Good God.
still holds up.
22 years? I did not know that.
I did not either. That series still holds up as one of the best comedy duos in cinema. The movies were a combination of adventure, comedy, romance, and music, parodying the different tropes of the day as the two bounce from one mishap to another across the globe. Two amazing showmen. Do they even make showmen anymore? I think Hugh Jackman counts, but he may be the exception that proves the rule. Anyway, two showmen who played off each other's strengths across decades and gave us enduring comedy. I'm sorry they're not better known today. Mel Brooks notwithstanding, comedy in cinema seems to have less duration across the decades than drama, end quote. Thanks, Adam. Val Coons, cue footsteps, etc., posted, quote, in no particular order, the Marx Brothers, the core group that did all of Christopher Guest's films, such as A Mighty Wind, This Is Spinal Tap, Best in Show, etc., the core group of Mel Brooks's best films, Gene Wilder, Madeline Kahn, Kenneth Mars, Liam Dunn, Cloris Leachman, Harvey Korman, end quote. That's quite a group list. Kind of like a super group, the Haircut 100 of comedy. Thanks, Val. Ian Coleman gives us, quote, Wilder and Pryor pop into my head instantly, end quote.
Sounds painful.
Yeah, but it seems like they're the favorite so far. Or is it the Marx Brothers?
It's close.
Thanks, Ian. Jen Norstrand's answer was, quote, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, end quote. That's work
they
I've
are a
missed.
great team.
Are they? I'll take your word for that. So thanks. Dave,
nothing but Dave.
Troop, whose last name rhymes with Mackman, said, quote, hands down the Marx Brothers. Their work was audience tested in a way that's no longer possible in our society, end quote. Audience tested, mother approved. Thanks, Dave. Val Coons poked her head back in to offer Stephen the Assistant's answer, quote, Stephen the Assistant says Monty Python, end quote. I'm frankly amazed that was the only offering for those Brits.
That is a surprise.
Thanks, Stephen. Brian Mundo posted, quote, The Rock and Kevin Hart. Unless you count animated animals, then Timon and Pumbaa. Ooh, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. I forgot about them, end quote. I guess he didn't forget about them. Thanks, Slow Bear. Lastly, we have the weasel himself, Mike Dans, with, quote, Farley and Spade, end quote. It is sad that they didn't get to make any more films. Thanks, Wheeze. Those were really varied and interesting, but what about you, Max? Who won't be varied or interesting?
Nope.
Who's your favorite cinematic comedy team?
Honestly, I got to go with Monty Python. They were, as far as just people who I've stuck with throughout the years and whose work I've enjoyed the most, and the ones who had and also who do the amazing job of wrangling like 6 people, which that ain't easy. Other than that, I got to go with the Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
How about you?
We might even take a look at them at some point. Maybe. Same thing. You know, they didn't do that many films. I mean, technically they did, 3 films as the Pythons? Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and
Meaning of Life.
I think that's it.
I think that's right. Yeah, they were like some with some of them here and some of them there, but those are the ones I think of.
But if you want to count their TV show, which technically we don't because this is a movie podcast, I still say, I mean, how many times have you and I seen Holy Grail?
I've lost count after I got to 30.
And it is amazing the buttons that Life of Brian pushed, which by the time we saw it, it wasn't so much a thing. But at the time, whoo.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was causing quite a stir. Because they actually did have a film I might second with Kids in the Hall, who I have to say did a remarkable job in their comeback series. And
that was surprising.
Damn, are they brave. I think literally all of them at some point appeared nude.
And these are guys like in their 50s or 60s, you know?
It wasn't pretty and they didn't care. So
nope. They did it because it was funny.
Yeah. Well, that's all well and good, but after 5 years, and we are celebrating a milestone here, we thought we'd go for something different. So next week, why not let us know, what is your favorite movie franchise? Big or small, 3 films or 12, same or different actors. Which is the one that grabs your heart? Please remember, franchises go back nearly as long as Hollywood does, including things, as Dan mentioned earlier, like the Thin Man series. That's a franchise. Sherlock Holmes.
Hell, the Hope and Crosby road movies.
Sure. So let us know what your favorite franchise is and tell us in ways that, blah, 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 blah. But before that, listen to my bud Max and his booyabays of Deadpool 2 trivia.
The facts.
Yeah, I got the bud right here, man. So, Deadpool 2. Budget, $110 million.
That's not a lot, is it? It's a lot.
Yeah, but it made $786 million, more than $750 million.
Wow.
Which, to no one's surprise, is why there's going to be a Deadpool 3. I want to do a little backstory, not too much about the character of Deadpool.
Sure.
The character was created in 1990 by a guy named Rob Liefeld and, as everyone forgets, Fabian Nicieza. He first showed up in the New Mutants. Honestly, he was really boring right off. He didn't get interesting until 7 years later when, and I have to put this in, allegedly, the writer Joe Kelly gave him the whole breaking the fourth wall gimmick. There are like 5 different writers who claim credit for that. But that was really where he kind of took off. Otherwise, he was just like, yeah, grr, I'm a mercenary, blah, I shoot people, blah, blah, blah.
Sort of like his appearance in that Wolverine movie.
Yeah, kind of. Not quite that bad, but close. Upon seeing the costume and noting the characteristics, a killer with super agility, Nicieza contacted Liefeld saying, dude, this is Deathstroke from the Teen Titans, who came out around the same time. So Nicieza gave Deadpool the name of Wade Wilson, because it's an inside joke, because Deathstroke's real name is Slade Wilson.
Ah.
Yeah. And the gag was, oh yeah, Wade's his brother. They knew what they were doing. They were just having some fun with it. There's a lot of other stuff about him, but
Meh.
Near the beginning, we see footage of the X-Men closing the door so that Wade doesn't see them. That was them. I thought the first time I saw it, I thought it was stand-ins, but apparently that footage was shot on the set of X-Men Dark Phoenix in 2019 and sent over to the Deadpool 2 crew.
Oh, how nice of them.
This is more for Deadpool 1, but the character Negasonic Teenage Warhead, played by Brianna, what's her name? Hildegard, I think, is named after a 1995 song by the New Jersey rock band Monster Magnet, who was a favorite band of her creator, Grant Morrison.
Ah.
When Deadpool complains about Domino's luck powers, he says it must have been the idea of an artist, quote, who can't even draw feet.
Oh, there's Rob Liefeld again.
Yes. Yeah. Rob Liefeld has been often mocked and criticized for avoiding drawing characters' hands and feet. Apparently he loved the joke, though. The gag where Deadpool stops Cable's bullet with a sword and then uses both to stop multiple bullets, only to realize that most of them made it through to his body, was conceived of by the stunt team. David Leitch passed on it initially as being too comedic for a dramatic sequence, but after he showed it to Ryan Reynolds, the actor thought it was hilarious. Ryan Reynolds was actually the one on set who noticed the similarity between the song Papa Can You Hear Me from Yentl and Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen. And he's not wrong.
They're only identical.
No, that melodic phrase, they're like almost note for note. Addressing the rather small elephant in the room about T.J. Miller. Due to the controversy surrounding his behavior in the months leading up to the film's release, Ryan Reynolds made a statement that Miller will not be invited back to perform in any of the follow-up films.
Oh.
The incidents included Miller being part of sexual abuse allegations during the Weinstein Effect, as well as supposedly bullying behavior on the set of Silicon Valley. He was also arrested after calling 911 when he was on an Amtrak train coming from Washington, D.C. to New York. He claimed a female passenger has a bomb in her bag. She did not.
Uh-huh.
Miller himself later stated he didn't want to be in more Deadpool films anyway, so shut up. Okay, that may not be exactly how he said it, but even if he were asked to do the part and paid twice as much, stating that Ryan Reynolds had been, quote, horrifically mean to him on the set of Deadpool 2, which is really in keeping with Reynolds' reputation. Mm. However, he later stated they had made amends after Reynolds had contacted him and claimed that his accusations had been misconstrued.
Wow, what a mess. Yeah. I actually liked him in Big Hero 6, too bad.
Yeah. Rob Liefeld, who also created Cable, the character Cable, not the television series, or television technology.
Service, yes.
He was on the set of Deadpool 2, and he asked Josh Brolin, who had packed on a lot of muscle for the role. He says, "Can I hold the rifle?" And as he said, Josh gave me the rifle to hold and said, "Be prepared, this is heavy." And he was horrified because the thing weighs 70 pounds.
Wow.
And Brolin's going, yeah, I got to run up hills with that thing.
Well, Brolin, as we well known from our episode on the Goonies, our entire episode on the Goonies, has been working out since the 1980s.
Yeah, I got some Goonies stuff in here, too. Ryan Reynolds and David Leitch, the director, were so taken with Zazie Beetz, who plays Domino, they wanted her to bring her own style to the role, preferring she wear her hair natural rather than the straight, choppy style Domino has in the comic book. Julian Dennison felt he'd really liked the role of Fire Fist, apart from the name, which was particularly special because his character is chubby, quote unquote. He said in an interview, playing a chubby or fat superhero was so special because I would go and watch these movies with my friends and never see anyone like me. I'm excited to be that for any other kids who look like me.
Sadly, he was not allowed into the film because he was too young.
Yes, he was 15 when the movie came out, and he couldn't have seen it in New Zealand where it was rated R16.
Ooh, R16.
Yes.
It's a new element, isn't it? Do
Yep.
you get superheroes with that?
Probably.
Ooh, I think I'm having an origin.
Did you get bitten by some radioactive arthropod?
No, I think it's just gas.
Oh, okay. You shall be Gas Man and strike terror into the hearts of your enemies.
I already do.
Yes, you do. Reynolds, by the way, would wax rhapsodic about what a good physical comedian Julian Dennison was. And he would say, yeah, he looks fat. He's incredibly athletic and really strong. Did the playground where they have the fight at the end of the movie, did that look familiar?
No.
It did to me, and I didn't, but I was like, I could never figure out why until I looked it up. It's the same one used in Sarah Connor's Nightmare
as soon
in
as
Terminator
you said that,
2. Yep.
Man, okay.
Yeah.
So don't go to that playground.
Yeah,
for any reason.
Just don't. Bad things happen there.
Yeah.
The character Zeitgeist can be seen with the number 116 tattooed on his left shoulder. That's because his first and only comic book appearance was in X-Force number 116. Nerd trivia. The sound that Cable's gun makes when recharges is the same sound the T-1000 makes as it walks through the hospital cell door, again in Terminator 2.
Ah.
We not only get Terminator 2 reference in this, we get RoboCop. Now, when Colossus says to Russell, come quietly or there will be trouble, Russell and Deadpool both point out that he stole that from RoboCop, which is the second reference, because in the first Deadpool movie, Colossus says, dead or alive, you're coming with me. The Deadpool mask is animated when Deadpool is talking. In order to give the visual effects artists at Weta something to work with, Ryan Reynolds performs each scene once without the mask, so his face is entirely visible for the effects team, and once with the mask. He said acting in the mask is about 20 to 30% bigger than he normally would be, so the performance comes through. The orphanage we see in this is called Essex House. This is another comic book reference, because the X-Men villain Mr. Sinister is also known as Nathaniel Essex. This is actually referenced in the Wolverine movie and goes nowhere. Sorry, the X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Ooh.
The F word is said 90 times in this movie, for those of you keeping track. When Ryan Reynolds asked Brianna Hildebrand, Negasonic Teenage Warrior, how she felt about the potential storyline during development, the one where she actually has a girlfriend, Hildebrand, and a member of the LGBTQ community, was very happy about it, just saying that the film couldn't make a big deal out of the relationship. And they don't. I do like the fact, when she's starting to get saying like, yes, don't be homophobic about this. He goes, hey, whoa there, Fox and Friends. I'm just amazed anyone would date you. Least of all Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony.
Hi, Wade. She
Hi,
was so cute.
They are so cute together. Juggernaut is, of course, almost entirely a CG character in this.
Almost?
Yes, because his face capture and voice are provided by Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
Yes, but they digitally lower his voice, but that's his face.
Dropped the third one, I guess.
Yep. And let's face it, this version of Juggernaut is so much better than the one in the third X-Men movie.
I don't remember any third X-Men movie.
So, yes, it's in the same theater with the third Godfather movie, which didn't happen.
I don't remember a second one either. I think there's just one.
Yeah. There are two Goonies references in this movie. When, after Deadpool gets his legs torn off by Juggernaut, he's hanging out in his old place. The shirt he's wearing is exactly the same shirt that Chunk wears in The Goonies. And he also says that Josh Brolin never noticed this on set. And he refers to Cable as One-Eyed Willie at one point.
Yes. Well, I mean, to be fair, that was a job from, 1985 or whatever it was?
Yep. And it's not like he's had any work since then.
No. Certainly not in superhero films.
No. Yes. Zip it, Thanos. The two rednecks that Cable steals the truck from in the beginning.
We're not twins.
Nope, that's Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk.
Okay.
Yep.
There's actually one cameo I wondered about, and I didn't know if you're going to come up against, and that was for when we actually see the Vanisher.
Oh, yes, that was Brad Pitt.
It was Brad Pitt. Okay, I wondered, because you see him for like 3 frames.
Oh, yeah. No, Ryan Reynolds was really nervous about asking him to do that, and Pitt was like, hell yeah, this is great. As he put it, apparently, I get to be in a superhero movie, and I don't have to memorize any lines. Awesome. Yeah, he was apparently totally into it.
Oh, cool.
There's a ton more. A lot of nerd references, a lot of comic book references, but I think that's enough for now.
On page 132 of X-Force number 96.
Yes, and I would like to point out the costume incongruity between... Yeah,
I'd like to go with for 200.
I think William Shatner said it best with, get a life.
Yeah.
But tell us the plot, won't you?
The plot. Deadpool, that lovable superhero hitman, has one true love, besides himself. Sure, he's away knocking off the baddies with quips and blades, both sharp, but he gets to come home to his girlfriend and a happily manic life, doesn't he? Or does he? Seems old Pool, as the kids call him, has knocked down the door of one murderer too many. This one hits back, killing the woman Deadpool, played by, of course, Ryan Reynolds, loves, played by Lorena Baccarin. Zip, tang, she's dead. And what's the Pool to do after he makes sure the bad guy is laid to rest or thrown in front of a speeding truck, but to try and off himself in a kerosene explosion? Well, nothing. But it doesn't work. His buddy Colossus of the X-Men gathers the parts and lets them come back together. But Deadpool is directionless. Colossus tells him to get over it and join the X-Men, come do some good, be part of a team. So Deadpool gives it a go. First gig is trying to stop a kid mutie called Fire Fist from going nuts and torching both the mutant rehab center in which he lives and the director of the place as well. Just as Deadpool seems to have calmed the situation, he pirouettes and snatches defeat from the jaws of victory. He and the kid are collared with power-nullifying devices and sent to mutant prison. It's a thing. Trust me. Inside, without his powers, Deadpool is succumbing to the cancer his powers usually keep at bay. Thing is, there's some sort of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey thing going on which calls Cable, from the future to come and kill Fire Fist before he can kill Cable's wife and child. So he shows up. Things blow up. Prisoners are freed, and now Deadpool has to try and save Fire Fist from the nice crazy person. But then later, he's helping Cable, kind of, when he gets the full story. There's ass-grabbing, blind people jokes, lots and lots of violence, soul-searching, dopinder, and super mutant action in this sequel to a very well-received bit of R-rated superhero fare. But can this one stack up in the end? And will Fire Fist ever find a better name? Don't count on it, true believers, but count on us.
The film.
Very nice.
So, Matt.
By the way, it's Morena Baccarin, not Lorena.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
It's stupid spelling correction. I actually copied it from the stupid IMDb website, so thank you.
Yep.
Yes, Marina, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're listening now, and I do apologize
Yes.
for mispronouncing your name. By the way,
I'm
it's Liefeld, not Liefeld, but that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Yes.
But German.
That may be. Well, actually, that would be correct. It's Liefeld, so yes.
No.
You know how people say Lowenstein, and they mispronounce the IE? That's
or
how they're
Levine
doing
and
it.
Levine,
Yeah.
yes, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's Liefeld. My
Liefeld,
apologies.
that's the way I've always heard it pronounced.
Sorry, Rob, I know you're listening too.
He's actually sitting next to Marina, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so quick question just for our listener. You saw this when it came out, didn't you?
I did.
Did you like the first film?
I did. I liked the first film a lot.
Were you expecting the first film?
No, I thought the first film was going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Had you read any Deadpool? Did you know the character?
Bits and pieces, not really. I mean, I saw him a little because I read The New Mutants when it came out, and I think he showed up there, and he was like, well, okay, boring guy in a Spider-Man rip-off outfit. No, I wasn't I didn't know about. I think I may have come across the fourth wall breaking, but I actually thought that was like, oh, this must be some weird special issue where they're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Did you have an idea who he was?
I kept waiting for Clint Eastwood to show up, right? Because that was one of the Dirty Harry movies, Deadpool. The Deadpool, right?
Yes, but that was the Deadpool.
Well, that's
it's
how
like
you get
Fast
away
and
from
Furious and the Fast and the Furious.
Well, that's how you get around those pesky little copyright laws, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I knew nothing about Deadpool, and
Okay.
I might have seen it with my buddy the Weasel, and if so, he was definitely in on the character and really said, "You need to go see this film. We should see it. It's going to be really funny." And it's like, I think, don't quote me on this, I think it was the first current level of superhero movie rated R.
I think so. I think you're right.
And boy, did it need to be. Whoo!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially, well, we do like to do actor stuff, and some of this is going to just zip on by. But Leslie Uggams, oh my God, what a trooper she is!
She is awesome. I love Blind Al, and that's the character's name.
Althea is wonderful, and she takes as good as she gets. It's given, is thrown at her, whatever.
Yep.
And she's delightful. And Leslie Uggams, of course, is a very well-established, very award-winning actor, and obviously has a great sense of humor.
Yep.
So she's one of the supporting characters I really like. The other one I like a lot is Karan Soni, or Karan Soni, who plays Dopinder.
Yes. Let me be your Kirsten Dunst.
I mean, I suppose you could say they're doing a little bit of stereotyping with him, but
a little, but not really.
No.
I mean, what about him, apart from his accent, is stereotypically Indian?
He's a cab driver?
That's everybody's a cab driver. You can put any ethnos, every immigrant group who comes to this country often starts out driving cabs because you don't need as advanced a language, and they can read maps.
But he's having such fun. I think the actor is too. But
I think so.
The character himself, especially in the first film, for those who haven't seen it, spoiler, when he more or less gets rid of his romantic rival,
basically murders him. Yes,
it's funny. Don't. Yeah, but sure.
Yeah, Dopinder's great.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard. Well, what's your superpower? Courage?
Sure, Dopinder, whatever you say. Sadly, we don't get nearly enough of Brianna Hildebrand. We sort of see her, and we have a couple of little quips, but
she is so cool. I think she's great.
I really want to see more of her. Actually, I would love to see a movie with her and Colossus, because, man, talk about two ends of the same magnet. Cripes. But she's fine. She doesn't get to do very much. I actually think her girlfriend, Yukio, played by Shioli Kutsuna, was just darling.
She was adorable. I mean, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see those two in a movie.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I mean, admittedly, it's the classic trope of, total opposites, the angry, withdrawn, sullen one and the bubbly, outgoing one.
Yeah.
But it works. It's so cute.
They do have a lot of chemistry, I think.
Yeah.
Even though they're barely... I want to say all of their footage is probably like 30 seconds.
It may be.
Just sprinkled with that. We get a real comic book deeper here with Jack Kesey as Black Tom. They don't say his last name, but it's Cassidy because his more famous brother...
I thought they did. Are you sure they didn't say his name?
I didn't hear it. But Black Tom Cassidy, whose brother is better known... Sean Cassidy, not that one. This one, I think this one actually came first. Sean Cassidy was the Banshee, whose superpower is he screams loud.
And can fly. And he shows up in the X-Men First Class.
They don't actually show him as the Banshee, do they? They just have him as Sean Cassidy.
They didn't give him a name, and he's not Irish.
And hey, in case you didn't know, Sean Cassidy's currently on tour. You would know, Max, what was Black Tom's power? I know he was sort of like literally the quote-unquote black sheep of the family, blah, 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 blah.
It wasn't very clear. He had a stick that he could shoot energy blasts out of. Yeah. As far as I can... that was all I ever saw of him. He was pretty boring. He was, Banshee's younger, I don't know, brother, and just hated him because...
Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah,
I have the mutant ability to buy a stick.
Yeah, pretty much. Fear my stick!
Zazie Beetz, or Zazu Pitts, sorry, that's a personal deeper. No one will know that one. Although, look her up. She was actually an actor. As Domino. And she's not there very long, but I really like her.
she's charming, and she's just
luck.
She
Luck is a
fits
superpower.
But luck.
Yeah, it's a superpower. No, it is.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Nope, it's not.
It totally is.
But it really isn't. I love that whole sequence. Let's split the difference and say it isn't.
Well, it also sadly, spoiler again. It's in the theme song, folks. There's going to be spoilers. She's the only member of X-Force that survives.
Yep.
Well,
her and Wade.
If you count Dopinder, but yeah. Or actually, no, that's not true because Bob. What's his name? Bob, not Bob.
Peter.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh no, he doesn't. That's right, he doesn't.
Well, but if you count the mid-credits time rewriting, he does survive.
I love the fact that Deadpool decides to call his team X-Force as if there isn't a comic book called X-Force that's, of course, headed by Cable.
Yeah,
never.
And I think he was part of it. I think
Cable led X-Force.
Yeah, but I think Deadpool was part of it.
As much as he's part of anything, I suppose.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we've got good old Josh Brolin here, and except for the fact that he will play another pretty high level and very obvious super character in a different franchise, sort of. Yeah. He does a great job as Capable, although I do love the point they point out. It's like, not tall like you are in the comics.
Yeah. In the comic, they actually say that Cable is like 6'7", which is like almost a foot taller than James Brolin.
Yeah. Marina Baccarin, we get her for, sadly, just the beginning of the film.
Which is a shame, because in the first movie, she's really good, and she's interesting and funny and touching.
And their relationship is great. It is just like, I can't even describe it. It's when you find one character who is just out there wacky and literally finds his equal, but isn't playing up to him and isn't copying him as she's her own wacky, but they really do fit together in very strange and interesting ways. Oh, let's go make a baby. Yeah, I'll get the strap on. I don't think that's how it works. But we'll give it a try.
We'll give it a try. Oh, she's awesome. And I was right there with the credits, which I really thought were great when the credits start playing, and it's produced by, did you just kill her?
Well, we'll get to the credits and stuff in a sec. We have a couple of people left. Julian Dennison.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of him before. Does a great job.
Big thing he was known for before this was a movie called Hunt for the Wilder People.
Never heard of him before, but he's great. Yeah, never heard of it.
Yeah.
I think is it a New Zealand film? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because he is a New Zealander.
Yeah.
Yep, he's terrific. I think he's going to go far. The only other thing I've seen him in since was Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah.
But
I hope he has a better career ahead of him.
Yeah. But we have to get to the top and discuss the problem.
Yes.
So Ryan Reynolds, let's face it, when we think of the character Deadpool and his crazy antics and all of his stuff, really the only person you can think of is Ryan Reynolds.
Honestly, Ryan Reynolds, who I never thought much of before this, including when he plays the same Wade Wilson character in Wolverine or in X-Men Origins Wolverine and makes him boring.
Well, it's not his fault.
That is not his fault at all.
I think he
totally
takes care of that in this film.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
He is, I now cannot picture anyone else playing Deadpool.
No.
Because it doesn't matter that he's got the mask on most of the time. It's the voice and the vocal mannerisms. He nails it. I
want to say, I don't know if this is true or not, but it feels like somebody approached him with the idea of doing this character. He looked into it and said, "Oh, I'm owning this. This is for me.
That wouldn't surprise me."
Yeah, and he just took ownership and ran with it. And he is very irreverent. As an actor, he's also very willing to play someone who is canonically bisexual, because that's a thing. They were worried that was going to take it out. And quite honestly, he tends to feel up Colossus more than he feels up anyone else.
Well, I still like when he's doing when he's like fighting the sumo guy. The guy's in the bathhouse, and he like lifts the guy's loincloth like, Scoutmaster Kevin?
Well, and also later on, when in the dream sequence, there's one point where his wife, or his soon-to-be wife, they never actually get married or do they? I can't remember. I don't think they do.
Not in the movies, but no.
As he's being pulled back to the land of the living, says, "Don't bleep Colossus." Which,
that's right. He says, "Don't bleep Elvis." She yells, "Don't bleep Colossus." He goes, "What? Zip?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And T.J. Miller's in it as Weasel. He's fine. Just turns out
he does the part properly. The character's never mind about the actor. The character's very two-dimensional.
Yeah.
And he's basically just there as like another quip machine.
Yeah. And, you know, he's fine at that.
Yeah, he does fine. I thought the members of X-Force were a lot of fun. I like seeing Terry Crews as Bedlam.
I don't know Terry Crews.
You probably do. He is a very... you ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Nope.
You've known him. He was an ultimate fighter or a mixed martial arts champion. He is this massive, very physically intimidating, one of those guys who just looks perpetually angry.
Okay.
Even when he isn't. He's got like resting murder face. And he's a lot of fun. And Bedlam is the one who can disrupt electrical fields.
Oh. I will say, they dragged out every lame-ass Marvel Shatterstar?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, Shatterstar.
I will say there was a certain amount of joy taken when they basically just shove him into a shredder or whatever they do with Shatterstar.
That was Zeitgeist got shredded.
Right.
Shatterstar went into a helicopter
That's right.
blade.
Because this... if you're not a Marvel Comics fan or a superheroes fan, then you won't really understand. But especially in like the 80s and 90s, it seemed like Marvel was like, well, we want to sort of keep our big guns, but we want to come up with new stuff. And they would, like any excuse, drop of a hat, special issue, they would come up with these lame-ass superheroes, including people like Shatterstar, who I think his big power was that he had a big tattoo of a radial star thing around one eye. I think that was his big power.
Okay, I know he came from this. He came from the same place that Longshot came from.
Exactly. I think he had a sword.
That is. Oh, did he?
I don't remember. He was.
I don't either. I know nothing. I don't remember anything about him. The Vanisher. First off, they changed him around. He's not in the comic book. He's a teleporter. He's not a. He doesn't turn invisible. Well, I don't remember much about him.
How do you know? How do you care?
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually, I don't think any of these people were a part of X-Force. I could be wrong, and if I
have no idea,
write me in. But I love the fact that they aren't. So
yeah. I like the fact that they go through the whole thing, like 10 minutes of the film, assembling this team, doing a whole big entrance, and they all die except for Domino in the first 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I thought that was hilarious. It's brutal. It's gross to watch.
Yeah.
But it is so damn funny.
Well, and I'm pretty much done with the cast, if you are. One thing I want to point out, because this is something that comes up very often, and we actually, I think, recently got called out for it. I think it was Adam Mark who wrote in with our treatment of the Goonies. He didn't care about that, and he admitted, yes, there are tonal shifts at the time where, like, the tonal shifts do not work for us. This film's tonal shifts make the Goonies' tonal shifts look like a blink. I mean, It's not even close. And I did want to ask if you think that worked, because we go from some pretty serious drama, like we're not laughing, we're watching our hero, Wade Wilson, in prison, knowing he's going to sit there and die of cancer because his powers have been turned off. And he'll make quips, but they don't have that edge anymore. They're just sort of sad. And then funny-ass stuff.
Well, yeah, but we also go from him speaking to his dead girlfriend, the love of his life, in some sort of afterlife waiting room, back into the wackiness.
Right.
And you want to know something? It works.
That's what I wanted to know.
For me, the tonal shifts work. I don't know how or why, but I think it's because they're so extreme and because we're sort of expecting that. And with the whole fourth wall breaking, even, again, like with the credits, where the credits are the audience reactions. In effect, directed by, you just killed Vanessa? And, written by the real villains.
Yeah. There's also, speaking of this, there as another part of the whole pirouette into wackiness or whatever, is the soundtrack, which is at times both really, really, like, dead on appropriate, as well as being an equal amount annoying.
Yeah.
Because they got to one point, I was like, oh, no, please, not Annie. No.
Yes, they're doing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow, or when...
I hate that song.
Oh, and when Deadpool is about to blow himself up, he's doing it to Air Supply's I'm all out of love. Or when he's hacking people up with his sword, and the soundtrack is Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. And he even looks at the camera and says, hit it, Dolly.
Yeah. It's so funny because we have come across so many movies that we really nail on the whole tonal shift. And I don't really know how it works here, but I agree. I think it does.
I think so.
And it is... The fourth wall breaking is something else we often say, look, if you don't know how to handle this, if you can't make this work, you really shouldn't try. And it's kind of part of Deadpool's shtick, and I think that works. I was going to ask you, did you think we have too much meta in this?
No, I think it works. I think that's pretty much what has become the essence of Deadpool. I love the fact that when he first meets Cable, he's going, wow, you're from the future. Which Sharknado are we on? And you're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?
Well, and here's something that I wanted to bring up, too, is that can you make this film and Deadpool 1 fit into the greater... You can't really make it fit the MCU because technically it's not part of it because we haven't...
It is now.
Yeah, they haven't stitched it together. I think that you actually can, kinda. It's only when they say things like, oh, this wheelchair smells like Patrick Stewart. Which, it's like, okay, if you're going to start mentioning the actors who play these people, we have a problem.
Well, he did that in the first movie. Professor X will talk to you. Who, McAvoy or Stewart?
So, my feeling is the way that you could kind of shoehorn this in is that these things, all the events happen the way they're depicted, but the story's being told by Wade Wilson to somebody else.
Yeah,
and he's making all this stuff up. So there's a bunch of stuff where people end up looking bad or doing dumb things that aren't Wade Wilson that don't actually happen. But he's telling the story, and as such, he's... Who knows? Maybe he's part watcher, right? And he can see this from... And boy, there's a who. Oh, at this point, I'd like to point out that the watcher has got no children and no descendants. And, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's a really geeky thing. It is basically, to me, both perhaps a more realistic depiction of superheroes, at least the violence that surrounds them, as well as commentary on the whole genre.
Well, also, there's a whole thing of collateral damage in this that they often just skate over in superhero movies. How many people do you think were killed in that prison truck chase through the city?
A lot fewer than died in Batman v Superman,
there is that. Yeah, or Man of Steel, with the fight with General Zod.
Let's take this out of the city. Nah, why bother? Huh? And in that one, they took great pains to use special effects to show us how many tens of thousands of people were dying when a building fell over.
Yep.
Absolutely. I like the fact that it is doing both. It is both a superhero movie and it's a comment on the ridiculousness of... the chase scene makes you realize how ridiculous all other chase scenes are. Not just this one, but the whole truck through the city and of course I love Domino is like, well, I have to give it to Luck. I'll go over here and let the truck drive itself. Lady Luck,
take the wheel, and that basically no one is driving the truck. And
it works fine.
Yep.
It's rare that you can get a film that can be self-referential, self-deprecating, and self-aggrandizing at the same time, but it kind of does. And this is the second one, right? So we did this once before, and when we get to the end, we'll discuss whether we thought this holds up compared, because the first one, I think, and I don't remember it as well, but I think if I had to say this, it did its job even better than this film did.
I think so.
But that being said,
it wasn't quite as over the top in the ridiculousness things, but I do have to say that canonically, there's a lot of suggestions that Wade Wilson is insane, which would kind of tie back into your idea how to fit him into the wider superhero universe, in that this is all from his perspective, and what he is seeing or even saying isn't heard by or seen by other people.
Suggested?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, doesn't every issue of Deadpool start with, by the way, Wade Wilson is utterly off his rocker? Continue.
It should. Okay. It should. And I mean, I like the fact... they throw in stuff like that about the fact that he is absolutely certain of things, even though we know he's wrong. I liked when Cable kills Black Tom. He goes, "You killed Black Tom, you racist son of a bitch!" Because he has convinced himself that Black Tom is African American when he is clearly not.
Well, there actually is the slightest grain of truth to that. So Black Tom is supposed to be Black Tom Cassidy.
Yeah.
There are a group
He
of
has an
people
Irish
called
accent.
the Black Irish who have dark
Yes.
hair and who are supposedly of mixed descent from Spanish who...
Probably the Moors.
The Moors,
yeah.
yes. So, sort of, but not really. That's not what he means. And I'm willing to bet that Wade Wilson doesn't even know that. The only reason I know that is because I saw a movie called The Secret of Roan Inish. Otherwise, never occurred to me. So, yes, I do love that stuff like that. I think one of the other things that's surprising is that this film, with all of its extra characters, offers a lot of opportunities. We don't often see a film whose side characters really have the potential to be interesting enough to have their own movie. But like you pointed out, we could see a movie with the couple of Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio, or not Yukio. What is her name? Yuki?
No, it's Yukio.
Yukio is Yukio. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's like, I do. I would,
in America.
That might be it. You could even do like a little anthology film, like, hey, 4 different short stories.
Domino could have her own movie easily.
She's fun. I like her.
Josh Brolin is actually under contract for a total of 3 more appearances as Cable, and we don't know what movies he's going to be in.
I don't want to see a Cable movie.
Nah.
I don't like Cable. He's the only one, and that's fine. He and Colossus need to be the straight men.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I also give Josh Brolin kudos for doing that crotch scene with Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
Oh, he's about to be more upset in a few seconds. Yeah. But like some of the other characters, I would easily see Colossus with being the straight man with another one of these characters.
Yeah.
I think it could be a lot of fun, and I would probably watch it. Would it be as good? I don't know, but it could be different and fun.
The other thing that I like about this movie is, well, Ryan Reynolds is not doing a Shatner in that he's letting other people have some of the good lines.
Yeah.
I like Domino sitting in the back of the car, listening to the two of them argue and just going, I should have finished college.
Well, and
or somebody saying he's doing full Winnie the Pooh.
oh, the scene where his legs are growing back is really disturbing.
It is.
There's moments like that. So I will say that this film does have some gross out humor. It does have a lot of violence that they do not shy away from. Because, of course,
very bloody.
His main weapon is 2 swords. And there is a scene that's not entirely unlike the Crazy 88, except there's only about 10 of them. And it's a bunch of guys in their underwear, which is interesting. And pieces are being cut off, not all of which are the villain. Sometimes it's actually Ryan Reynolds having his being cut into bits. He blows himself up in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Yep, he gets literally torn in half by the Juggernaut.
So as dark humor goes, this is pretty dark. And if it's not your cup of tea, I can see why people are like, yeah, I know. And also if you just don't like superheroes, because I think if you don't have a love of superheroes of some kind, this film's probably not going to work for you.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, but it does have a moral. I don't know if did you catch the moral?
Yeah, it's family is what you create.
No. The moral of the story is heroes can't have families. That's the moral.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if they do,
they'll end up in the fridge.
That's something like that. Or get shot by whoever that murderer guy was. So just don't, okay? Dependent, you're better off without her. Trust us.
I still picture me as a 10-year-old Kirsten Dunst. I will never not picture you that way.
That's apparently his inspiration for being a superhero is her part in the
Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
Yes,
which also had Brad Pitt in it.
That's true. Coincidence?
Yes.
Yes, probably.
I don't know about you, but it's just a weird film because I watched it like I do all the other films, but I honestly didn't have that many notes.
I had a few.
Do you have any more? By all means, bring them up.
Yeah. What did you think of his death scene where he's...
Which one?
When he's lying there after he's been shot and believes he's dying and keeps dying and then keeps talking.
I thought it went on a little long.
That was my thing. I thought that was funny the first time he did it, maybe the second, but they did it like 5 times.
Yeah.
And that was a bit much. And what about the mid-credits sequence with the time travel?
I have to... I love that sequence for no other reason that he actually ends up including him, the actor who plays Deadpool, as one of the people getting shot or killed.
He goes back in time and kills Ryan Reynolds before he can make the Green Lantern movie, looks at the camera and says, "You're welcome, Canada."
Well, and then he also kills off the original Deadpool character from that Wolverine movie.
Yep.
So
but he goes back and saves Vanessa, in effect nullifying most of his motivation for this movie, which, again, in any other superhero movie would have pissed me off. With any other character that would have pissed me off. With Deadpool, it works. It just does.
I also love the fact that he stole the damn thing from Cable without Cable noticing.
I did, and I liked, Yukio and Negasonic saying, Cable's going to kill you when he finds out you stole that, and she just goes, "Why do you think I'm helping?"
Yeah, it's fine. And here's the thing. I want to put a little plug in. I rented this. I didn't own it. And there is a feature, I'm sure it's in other streaming services too, but there's a feature, at least in the Apple TV app, where when the credits start, a little button pops up that says skip credits, and it goes right to the cutscene. So you don't have to sit there and fast forward and try and figure out where it is. Really nice. But in this case, I sat through a lot of the beginning, or should say the end credits, because they were so darling. Those little drawings and stuff, they're so cute.
They were so cute.
Little cartoon Deadpool.
Cute.
Yeah. So
I think I like the fact that the end credits are to shares if I could turn back time.
Yeah.
We are definitely naming our kid Cher, which is a nice callback. I want our kid to have one name, like Cher.
And I know
Todd.
You would never let us name a son Todd. But I'm out.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you out?
Yeah, I think so. Although, again, I like the little sort of a throwback to another movie we talked about, Say Anything.
Oh, yeah.
When he's trying to apologize to Colossus.
Phone, and on the phone is an app of a boombox.
Yep, but he's playing In Your Eyes, just like Peter Gabriel, just like John Cusack was in the movie.
Yeah.
I think I like that. There are a lot of little things like that. I like him looking at the camera twice and saying, "Well, that's just lazy writing."
Yeah, because thank you. It is in other films.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. But that's pretty much what I've got.
The finish.
So, Max.
Yeah.
You saw Deadpool when it came out, the first one.
I did.
And
the first one or this one?
The first one.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
So when you saw the first one, were you like, "Oh my God, there's no way they can do this again and get away with it"?
When I knew there was a second one coming out, my first thought was, okay, it's a comic book movie. Of course there's going to be a sequel. And there are possible things they could do.
They didn't do any of them, did they?
No, not a one. They caught me by surprise. Although, at the end of the first one, there's an end credit scene where he says the next movie we're going to have Cable. And admittedly, I thought, oh, yeah, right. You're going to bring time travel and all that mess and Liefeld's hyper-musculature, which, by the way, is another thing he's really known for that people make fun of. Back in the 90s, there was a whole thing where everybody in Marvel Comics got swollen. Just these ridiculously exaggerated musculature, and women who were, shall we say, anatomically impossible.
Yeah. Spine breakers.
Yeah. And I didn't think it would work. I wasn't sure what to expect from the second one. I didn't think it would be as much fun, but I think it was.
Do you remember your reaction when you saw it in the theater, the second one?
Yeah, I thought, again, this is great, especially the X-Force scene, the whole sequence, all the way to him retconning Peter's death. At the end, I was like, yeah, this is the whole movie for me. You could have nothing else in this, and the rest of the movie could have been terrible. This would have saved it. What about you?
So I loved the first one. I did not see it coming. And I have to say, I don't know that he'll listen to this episode or not, but The Wheeze has taken me some films that I did not want to see, didn't think I wanted to see. And I think in every occasion he was right. One of them was The Hangover. Had no interest in it. And I laughed my ass off in that film. It was so funny. I don't want to see any of the sequels. I don't need to. And I'm pretty sure that he got me to go see this film because I was like, funny superheroes, I don't need that. Just like when I saw the ads for Lower Decks. Funny Star Trek, that can't be any good. Spoiler, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the first film. My memory is that the second film I didn't like as much. And was like, so we chose it for this show, which I think was a great idea, although we sort of bent Dan's idea a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the one that's not as good. I don't know if it's my memory was wrong or it's just been long enough and I don't remember the first one as well. I don't know. But I laughed all the way through it. It's really funny. It's really dark. So if you don't like dark humor, it's not going to work for you because it's rated R for a really good for a number of really good reasons.
Many reasons.
Making sure that all those little kids in mutant school will never get to see it. I like the characterizations. Yes, I was an X-Men fan.
Yep, me too.
For most of the X-Men, I'll still say they haven't really been done very well, with a few exceptions, Wolverine, Professor X being one of them. Colossus, sure. He's a little bit more straight man in this than he even was.
A little more Boy Scouty, but he was always kind of, he was kind of dull.
Yeah, no matter how much you shined him up.
Yep, I like Alan Cummings' version of Nightcrawler, too.
Yeah, it was a really interesting take. He was a very odd choice for that role. But, yeah, I think that's probably, except for the weird carvings they put in his skin for some reason I don't understand. I guess they didn't want to put velvet fuzz on him or something. I think he was probably closest to the way I saw him in the comics.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that this film does have some caveats, meaning don't like dark humor, don't like superheroes, it's not going to work for you. That being said, I think they really embrace the whole superhero genre, the comic superhero as well as movie superhero genre. They know how to play with it, except for maybe that death scene going on a little bit too long. They really know where they can poke the stick and where they can offer up some goodies to the audience. And let's face it, superheroes are goofy.
Yeah.
The whole idea of powers and stuff really does not work, and they even play with that to some extent. So I would say, as a choice for our 5th anniversary special film, as well as just a superhero film in general, yes.
I'll be interested to see what happens with the third, because the third one is going to be under the Disney aegis.
Which, well, here's the thing. Disney's got some stuff on their channel. Like, did you see Andor?
Yeah, I saw 2 episodes of it. That is true. That ain't light and fluffy.
No.
So
it's very well done. It's really well acted. It's really well plotted and written, but it kept making me say, is this Star Wars?
The only thing I know about the third movie is apparently Hugh Jackman has agreed to be in it.
Wow. Okay.
What the rumor I've heard, and I hope this is true because this would really work, is he's not going to be playing Wolverine. He's going to be playing Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
And I think that could be, if they do it right, that could be hilarious.
Huh. Yeah, we'll have to see, but it's not out yet.
Nope. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Well, except we should go over that poll question thing again.
Yes, we should.
It's really difficult when we don't know who's supposed to cue the other person.
True.
Well, we would like to know for next week, what is your favorite movie franchise? Big, small, 3, 12 films, different actors, same ones, and this can be anything. Again, we're talking all the way back to the original origins of cinema, going back to things like The Thin Man, Sherlock Holmes, whatever, all the way up to Marvel superheroes, Harry Potter, etc. Just let us know, and you can do so by going over to the website, such as Cheesehead and Vince do. Keep those penguins quiet, won't you? And that is MaxMikeMovies.com. There you can see all of our episodes, leave comments to this question, or even to give us ideas for other series, other shows, etc. Or, like our friend Adam did, you could email us. And that was at us@MaxMikeMovies.com, where you might say, hey, I take issue with your show. You guys are awesome! Or something similar like that.
Yep.
And then, of course, we have our presence on... Although
presents? You got me presents?
No, never.
Oh.
We have our presence on social media, which is changing. I'm not sold on this whole new Threads thing, especially since you have to cancel your Instagram account if you want to cancel your Threads account, which is, there's a feature. Anyway, we're still on Facebook if you are, and we're at Max Mike Movies. You can leave comments to the, or answers to the question there, or other comments as well. And then finally, if there is a podcast app or one that Meta is going to come out with soon, I'm sure we're on it somehow.
Yep. But I do just want to say that this has been a great 5 years,
Bye.
and I'm looking forward to at least another week.
Oh. Another week.
But speaking of week, next, my transitions are brilliant.
Yeah.
Next week, we're starting a new series.
We are.
Tell us about it, Mike.
Well, we want
Too late. I'm going to tell us.
Yeah, we want to start a series that's there used to be big summer blockbusters. I know they don't do that anymore.
Oh boy, Jones. Remember those way back?
Yeah, but it used to be that Hollywood was not so great at keeping secrets. And it turns out that if anyone got a sniff of what Cameron was up to or Lucas was up to or Spielberg was up to, you might see another movie really kind of sort of exactly like it show up either around the same time or even first. What?
Hang on. Are you saying there are people in Hollywood who don't utterly value originality?
Yes.
Oh, Mike, when did you become so cynical?
1979.
What happened in 1979?
Oh, well, you'd have to.
I'm sorry, we don't talk about that, right?
No.
Yeah, something to do with Bruno.
It's like Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. We just, don't ever mention that. So you would get a movie that would come out, the one you were expecting, the one you were looking forward to, and then you'd get what we'd like to call but an incredible simulation, which is the name of our new series.
Yep.
And so next week, we're going to start off with the good film, otherwise known as the film that you were expecting to go see. And then the week after, we'll follow it with the, shall we say...
Rip-off. Let's just call them what they were.
The third world country mix-match action figure, what superhero is this version of the same film? So next week, we're going to start off with a big old kaiju film, a giant rubber monster film of great renown, which has nothing to do with Godzilla, nor does it actually have rubber monsters in it. We're going to watch Pacific Rim, and just to keep you ahead of the game, so if you want to, you can keep these two things close in your heart. The week after that, we're going to be watching its incredible simulation, very imaginatively called Atlantic Rim.
That's a whole other ocean.
Yeah. So get set for a big old rimming next week on MaxMikeMovies.
Whoa!
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.